a salami that's made with the same exact quality and type of pork that they make prosciutto di Parma from. It's called Golfetta. It's amazing.
How do I get on this podcast like once a week? You guys need like a third?
Welcome back. Oh shit, to season 3 of Industry Only at the Cheese Store. We're back in the basement, the dungeon. Dom's on my left as usual with lots of meats and cheeses. Today we have the esteemed Michael Voltaggio, who is a chef who's done a lot, but we're really not here to talk about this because he brought his new tequila, Mercado 28. It's the Thursday before Coachella starts. We could all be grown-ups, you know, on some party bus going to Coachella, but we're going to be grown-ups and do tequila shots at 11 a.m., I guess.
Yeah, but I also think this needs to be in the suitcases of everyone going to the valley, to Coachella, because Mercado 28 can travel.
Yeah.
You can buy it here at the cheese store and take it with them out to Coachella.
Yeah, so I wanted to read something to you because in the last half hour while you're upstairs, you know, being famous and talking to other famous people, I was just texting people about my adjacency to you. No, people are just texting me, hey, where are you right now? Because they're asking me about
Welcome
Coachella.
to the show, man.
And Avish from Pizza Palace, who we just did a party with, who, as you know, had the hottest restaurant in LA a couple years ago, still very hot, he really is a scholar of things, and he looks up to people like you and your success, whether you know it or not. And so I just texted him a picture of the tequila. He writes back, hey, I'm around and chilling, brother. Would love to do the podcast. Man, these Volt guys got the beer and the spirit company now. So I think the thing that he's saying is just that restaurants are hard. Everybody's trying to figure out how to do other things. So tell me about this other thing that you're doing, what this brand is and how it started and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to like why I started cooking, right? Everything that I do, every endeavor that we take is an experience for me to like, it's an opportunity to go learn more, right? So when Mercado 28 came across our desk as an opportunity to participate in a brand, I was like, okay, well, I want to go to Mexico. I want to learn how to make tequila. I want to know the people that are digging the piñas out of the ground. I want to go farm that with them. I want to go through the whole process so that as much like pastry, like in order to hire a pastry chef, I needed to know how to do pastry. So now I'm a pastry chef. Like I learned pastry so I could eventually hire pastry chefs. I think with this particular spirit, it's like starting any other business. Like I wanted to use this as an opportunity to learn, but also I think that there's still, you're going to think I'm tripping, but like there's a void in the tequila sort of market right now. It's missing this. And the reason I'm saying that, and that's why this became so important to me, was making something that's quality that is affordable. And I think that right now when you look at things like luxury, people still want to feel perceived value. So this tequila is all natural. There's 3 ingredients if you include the yeast. Otherwise, there's 2. It's agave and water. So it's no additive tequila that is right around $60 and below a bottle, and just got from wine enthusiasts 93 on the Reposado and 94 on the Blanco.
Amazing. You know, I saw your name. There's this Chefs Love LA fundraiser recently that raised $850,000 from wildfire relief. I saw you on the lineup thinking that you were cooking, and then I realized you were pouring your tequila. Elizabeth Faulkner, saw her on the lineup. She's pouring her Amaro, right, I think?
So funny thing about that particular event, one, I didn't actually get to physically go because the day that the event was happening, I actually tested positive for the flu. Man. So I called Brad Metzger, who put it on, and I said, listen, man, I have the flu. And he was like, Daniel Boulud's flying out here to do this event. Like, you can't just show up and like spread the flu to everyone in Beverly Hills and just walk away. So he was like, and it was good that it happened that way, because I originally didn't commit to cooking because we opened a new restaurant a few months ago on the East Coast. And Y Oak is a new project with my brother. It's in our hometown of Frederick, Maryland. We just got our Washington Post review last week pretty much, and it was actually honestly incredible.
Yeah, congratulations.
We're super grateful for that, but I couldn't really commit to such an important event knowing that we had this restaurant in the works, and so I offered Brad an opportunity for me to do the tequila. Then I got the flu. So then I just had the tequila dropped off at the event, and the girls from Mezermeister, the knife company in Ojai, and this is my point, like how community comes together, like our community comes together. They were like, we're sponsoring the event also, but we'll just pour your tequila too. So they basically, the ladies at Mezermeister were down there pouring my Mercado while I was at home with the flu, quarantined in my room because I have a newborn, and my wife was like, lock yourself away. And then we auctioned off, which I just did this past Wednesday, a taco crawl with myself and Bill Esparza. So one of the auction items was a group of people purchased us to go ride in a party bus with them and go eat Bill's list of
with
tacos.
your tequila, I assume, right?
When I tell you I brought 4 bottles for 10 people and it was gone in the first like 45 minutes.
Dom, you got to start doing shots soon. You got to keep up.
So we're going Blanco first, right?
Yeah, I would, ease into it. I think when you drink it, you'll see like it's super smooth, super drinkable. And I'm not trying to do a commercial. Like honestly, I want to talk about all the other stuff we're here to talk about. But this to me is an example of how our industry can creatively bring stuff to the market and still make people feel like we're thinking about them, you know? Right. And I think that oftentimes we sort of got lost in our own bullshit the past couple of years. And prior to the pandemic, it was like, you know, you needed to know someone to get into a restaurant. And, you know, bartenders and barbers and baristas were like the coolest people on the street. Like if you saw one of them down the street, you couldn't even say hi to them. They're just like so cool. And fast forward to today, and now it's like that energy sort of shifted and we have to like, we got to go back to the hospitality part of like what we do. And I think we're feeling that now. And it's as unfortunate as the industry is sort of unfortunately suffering right now in a big way, it's an opportunity for us to bring back the things that made us love this industry, and which is taking care of people.
Yeah, and people are still going for it. Like, look, this is the hardest city that there is in America to do business now. But, you know, for a couple months after the fire, especially like 1 month after the fire, we were all like, fuck, nobody's ever going to open anything again. And then it just felt like that, right? It felt like more people were leaving, obviously. And then in the last couple weeks alone, obviously, like Mei Lin, your protege, who very much still talks about you as a mentor, opened 88 Club down the street from here. You can walk to it, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Sweet and sour fish, wontons, the custard buns. Like, I remember all that stuff.
The shrimp toast I've had.
I ate everything that you just said last night.
Yeah.
And I will say, yes, I'm super proud of Mei Lin. I think what May's accomplished with that restaurant in a short period of time is incredible. I think that Beverly Hills is really sort of embracing restaurants right now. And I think that that's something that is recent. I think that everyone in LA has sort of figured out how to stay in their community, but they're still getting out. Beverly Hills specifically, most people that live here go out to dinner like every night. And so I think her having that addition to that sort of landscape and this particular town, this city embracing restaurants the way that Beverly Hills is right now. I mean, the fact that, Dom, you did what you did with this store. And I think that's the same creative process that we all have to look at. You're right. A few months ago, all of us were like, oh, fuck. We're leaving. We're leaving.
Yeah. No, and people like you, you're opening in other cities because obviously there's opportunity there. But, you know, you've had so many friends. Miami, Arizona, Las Vegas, Texas, whatever. That's where the deals were. And so we understood while people were leaving. But May opened. Anthony Wong, who worked with you at Inc., obviously, like also just opened his restaurant, Firstborn. Jerry Greenberg opened Matu Kai. Zach Pollock opened Cosetta. There's just been Jeremy Adler, you know, with the chef who used to cook for Evan, opened up Beethoven Market. Mm-hmm. Those are 5 significant things in a span of 2 weeks, and it makes me happy. But going back to May for a second, you're right that Beverly Hills is having a moment where it's embracing restaurants, right? But the fact that May is here, and this is no shade at any of them, because we fucking love La Dolce Vita. You know, we like Murray a lot. We know they sell your seasonal. The fact that she didn't just open a fancy Italian restaurant, like this is interesting for Beverly Hills.
It really is, and honestly, it's sort of a love letter. What I felt like to her, you know, her growing up, her childhood, and then also her career as a chef. And she sort of found this beautiful intersection of all that stuff coming together in a way that just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's her story. It seems very LA. I love that she's doing it down the street. See, Dom pretty much, he goes to La Dolce Vita to eat baked clams all the time just because it's like he's a creature of habit. Fuck, I can walk there.
It's true.
Now he has to walk past 88 Club to go to La Dolce Vita. This is going to be a little interesting how this plays out.
That shrimp toast on the way over.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be the fucking guy who brings the shrimp toast to the bar at LDV.
So check this out. So I just poured the tequila. First of all, can you?
Cheese, right?
Dude, Vaca Rosa just opened the wheel.
I gotta eat some cheese.
Oh, yeah. Pass me some cured meats because I bet that pairs well.
Oh, bro. So I have culatello on this platter in the middle. I got some mortadella. I got a little bit of a salami that's made with the same exact quality and type of pork that they make prosciutto di Parma from. It's called Golfetta. It's amazing. So all right, so
I want to get on this podcast like once a week. You guys need like a third? Let's be a throuple. Let's be a podcast throuple.
I love it. Let's do it. So I want to ask, though, all kidding aside. So is there a way, like, is there a certain glass that we should use for the tequila? Is there a way to pour it? Is there a way to taste it? Like, what should I be tasting? I know it's a lot of questions at once, but like, how should I do this?
Yeah, are you sipping or pounding? Is what he's asking too.
Obviously, it's on the nose first. Everyone instinctively picks up.
And nothing gets past this, just so you know.
Same. I'm Italian too, bro. So, if you smell it, like, once you get past, the sort of, I'll just say, like, the tequila aspect of it, then you start getting all the nuance that comes behind it. And I think that for us, it was really important to make a tequila that drank like a lot of the popular ones that you see sort of out there on everyone's back bar where they walk in and they're like, give me that on the rocks. And, like, you know which ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course.
So make it approachable, but do it in a way where you're not adding anything to it. So the process in making this, which is slow cooking the agave, making sure that the sugars are right where they need to be, then getting it sort of fermented the way that we do it. And our partners, for instance, the Barba family who's making this for us, Bruno, who is basically our master distiller, his grandmother created Reposado as a category. I mean, smell it.
That's what we taste it.
You can shoot it if you want.
No, I mean,
give it a taste first.
I mean, I've never had tequila.
By the way, I purposely did not have this because I wanted my genuine reaction to be on camera when I tried it, and it's absolutely amazing. It's probably one of the smoothest tequilas that I've ever had. And we're drinking the Blanco right now.
And I'm glad you're saying that, and I'm glad you didn't taste it because this isn't just a brand play. Like, this isn't another, like, oh, here comes, like, I don't call myself a celebrity, but like a brand that has a face attached to it is usually just that, right?
Right.
This is something where a lot of people came together. I took a beverage consultant with me down to Guadalajara before we went out to the fields.
That is so
I
cool.
had a team of people with me that could educate us through the entire process. And then, like I said, our goal was to keep the price point low. And then when we got our scores, we're like, okay, great. Like, price is still the price. Like, this is who we are. This is a tequila for everyone. Like, that's really what the goal was. The art is designed by tattoo artists. The Blanco label was done by an artist.
You have some tattoos?
I have a couple. I've been tattooed by both artists actually that tattooed that did these bottles. But
I love that.
Right. So this is personal, but
so
but
cool.
it is. But it's like the thing that you're saying. Taco tour of Bella Esparza. I mean, add that to the fact that people understand the influence that you've had on LA food, and it's just sort of like, this is your tequila. This makes sense. This is the brand.
This was something that I was excited to do, this year. You know what I mean? It's like, how do I, I'm getting older. Like, I'm 40 something now.
I'm older than you, but that's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll be 50 in a few years. I know. I made it. Everyone's surprised. I'm still here. And so I still have that same curiosity. Like, when I learned how to make an emulsion for the first time, or I learned how to cook something sous vide, or I basically learned how to braise something or make a stock or whatever it is, like, this to me was just another layer of that. Mm-hmm. And being able to share more of that part of as a chef, like, all I ever want to do is continue to share that stuff, that personal part of myself with as many people as I can. And if we can reach more people with this tequila, then it's a win-win. But we got to make something good. And I think when you try the Reposado too, and again, I'm not trying to do a tequila commercial. I know we have a lot of other stuff to talk about.
I don't think you knew that this was going to even be on the table when you got here.
No, I didn't. Yeah, and thank you for picking it up. Man. And it's available right here at the Beverly Hills Cheese Store.
I'm going to hit you up for a dinner here too. We're going to do a tequila tasting, and we're going to do a sick dinner.
Done. Like, I'll come hang out down here anytime you guys want.
I would love it.
It's just, I don't know. Like, I care so much about all the people that, I hate to say it, but like, pay us to take care of them. Like, that's our job, right? Like, we're in the hospitality industry. And that part of it is just, I think it's so important right now more than ever. And I think what you guys did with this store, it just, like, again, it speaks to like what can be done with a little bit of imagination and just talking to the community and asking them what they want and
community.
They need.
I mean, I'm glad you said that word.
And bringing the people that we're taking care of into our world so that we can take care of them better. I read reviews. I read Yelp. I read Eater. I read all that shit.
Yeah, because you care and you don't stop caring. So one thing we're trying to do in season 3 is Dom cares very much about this cheese store. He's still learning how to do a podcast. I admit I have no fucking idea. Dom typed up notes for the first time. Like, this should be, like, you should be so honored we've literally had, who have we had? Chris Bianco, Wolfgang, whatever. And he's literally just like, fuck, what do I ask them now? It's actually been really, really funny because then they just make fun of him. But since you typed all this stuff, and I'm very proud of you for this, what would you like to ask Michael Voltaggio right now?
There's a couple things. So first of all, like I definitely. So
He's
your brother,
no.
And by the way, like if you think I can
Let me
see
have
it,
it.
like, no. If
You
you
didn't
think
want
I
to
can
walk
see
away
it,
and be like, "Fuck! I wish I would
I
have
felt
asked him
so
this."
cool. I came on. I was running these questions by my wife, who's a huge fan, also. Like, and I'm sitting here, and I'm just trying
Right.
to
Who's
figure
the
out-
best cook who's ever worked for you, and who's the worst cook? Tell us now.
Oh man! By the way, I haven't seen any of these questions yet.
No,
So,
nothing, man,
Here we
nothing.
go.
No,
Here we go.
His are so softball, and I'm gonna have to make them spicier.
I think like what made you audition for Top Chef? Like, what got you to get to that point? Because I mean, like, let's face it. I mean, once that happened, like you were the guy on the biggest show, still one of the biggest shows culinary wise. Like, you kind of set that tone and paved that path. So, like, what made you decide? Yeah, I'm gonna go audition for this.
He's so hyped right now.
Oh, I'm totally happy, and it has nothing to do with the
I
tequila.
mean, that's a great question, and I have a great answer for it. Marcel Vigneron. We opened Bazaar, which was Jose Andres' first restaurant in Beverly Hills. First restaurant in California, I should say, or in Los Angeles proper. I was the opening executive chef of that project. Marcel had applied to be a sous chef. And we all sort of had known who he was because he was basically coming off of his season of Top Chef. And I got to give him props. Like, he was like, okay, I'm coming off of this television show. I need to go back to it like a serious kitchen.
Yeah, and he went to Hard Kitchen.
And he came to work with us and left, all of that stuff outside and came into the Bazaar as somebody who genuinely wanted to learn from Jose, learn from Think Food Group, and learn from everyone involved in that project.
And he was a finalist, right? Hung won that year, right? But he got really, Marcel
And
got
Hung
really
actually
tough, right?
worked with me at the Ritz-Carlton
Yeah,
Hotel
love it.
in Naples, Florida. So a lot of people that have been on the show we've worked together on the line.
That's so cool.
So one day I was, Jose and I were standing in the kitchen, and like Marcel, it was constant. Like, the kitchen was open, if you guys remember, and guests would walk up to the past and like, oh my God, Marcel. And like Jose Andres is there, and he wasn't. I mean, he was the same Jose back then that he is now. But he wasn't like on the cover of everything back then.
Right.
So I'm like sitting there and I'm like, wow, this is really ironic. Like, every guest that comes into this restaurant is really excited to see you. I can't believe this. That's crazy, from one little TV show or whatever. And he's like, well, if you think it's so little or so whatever, this or that, why don't you go do it? And I'm like, who do I call? Like, let me.
So, did you watch the show at all before?
I was a
this,
fan
or?
of Marcel's. I knew exactly
so
who
you
he
knew-
was.
you knew
I was
it.
a fan of the show, and I saw that particular cooking competition, other than Iron Chef, as one of the first ones that was really kind of connecting the dots between real chefs and chefs that just sort of play chefs on TV. And I thought that Top Chef was that. And so I even think that when Brian and I, my brother and I, went and did it, it was a little bit risky because we were both like right there at like our careers were as restaurant chefs.
Right,
Really,
you already had the job where you're running a restaurant. A lot of people go on the shows; they're not there yet.
a 4-star LA Times restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
From Irene.
Yeah.
Like, that's a rare review to get.
Right.
And then
That's
I'm
in my
like,
notes, by the way.
thank you. So then I'm like, well, this is sort of risky because is the industry going to take me less seriously if I go and do this? But at the same time, fast forward to today, I think maybe I had a little bit of a crystal ball to see like, maybe the future is this is gonna be an important aspect of the future of hospitality, food and beverage.
Yeah, you saw it.
Our industry, and so I took the risk.
Yeah.
I took the risk, and Marcel made the introduction, but I went through the same casting process as everyone. I got the email. I got the email address to send my tape to. You know what I mean? It was but it was the same email address that was on the whatever website or whatever, the general casting, and I just sent it in. And
he fucking finished higher than Marcel, so who gets to talk shit now?
But that was kind of the idea. But Marcel's to this day still a good friend of mine. But I sort of credit him for pushing me to go do that, because I was one of those very introverted, serious chefs. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to cook good food and all that. And then I don't know. I just was like, well, I wonder if that's another skill set that I can learn. Like, I wonder if I can go learn how to do. Like, I was always a fan of Emeril, huge fan of Bobby Flay, like huge Todd Engel, all these guys, that back in the day, Julia even. I mean, I met Julia Child when I was 19 years old doing my apprenticeship at the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia. And to be able to go and sort of explore that opportunity, I needed that. I needed to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
So you gave up, like, obviously you're filming, so you're like locked in a room. You're not working. You gave kind of your career up to get on this show.
I gave up my job.
Yeah.
I gave up my job.
Yeah.
I went to Jose and I had to.
He gave up one of the most high-profile jobs in LA at that point.
How supportive was Jose when you told him?
He was. He was not happy with the fact that, you know, the restaurant was so young, but I think he could see that I really wanted to do it. And at the time, his chef from Zatania in DC was also going on the same show. So he was effectively losing 2 of his executive chefs at the same time. So that didn't sit too well with him, as it shouldn't. I wouldn't expect it to.
Sure.
But I moved to Los Angeles 17 years ago with $1,000 in my pocket and a Chrysler 300, and I thought I was like, cool. I'm like, LA is gonna love me.
Yeah.
And I got out, and I'm like, oh. First week, I'm broke, and I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of my car. And I'm like, I need to build a life for myself in this town. And so, you know, they're all steps towards the goal, right? But ultimately, what I didn't realize was that eventually I would just get back to where I'm at right now, which is just genuinely loving our industry. Like, I feel like I have so much left that I can still give. Like, my story's not over yet.
Yeah.
Do you sort of think about things like legacy, or do you think about the fact that, like, or if you don't want to talk about yourself, I guess another way to think about this is, right, like 2008, Kogi, Animal, Jelena, and the Bazaar all happened. Mm-hmm. LA is not what it is without that, right? So tell me about the part that you're happy to take credit for, or you think of, or just tell me about being part of that collective movement.
I'm just glad that I got to sit at the table. I mean, I remember meeting Roy Choi for the first time, and he walked into Inc. and he told me, like, what a fan he was of mine. And then you look at Roy's career today, and like, and Roy and I have these conversations. It's funny, you were just talking about 2008. I just talked to Roy a few months ago, and I was like, wow, somebody really needs to tell that story of that time where we all were sort of here. And LA was always a restaurant town. I mean, Spago, Inc. was in the space on the property, on the dirt, not the same building where Ma Maison was when Wolfgang Puck first started cooking in Los Angeles in 1978 or 9 or whatever that was. So there was this sort of opportunity, I think, to transition from a nightlife city to a nightlife / restaurant city.
Yeah.
And it happened, I think, a lot because of John and Vinny taking the tablecloths off, doing Animal on Fairfax, and
until like 2 a.m. with every chef in the city after their shift coming in, and like they're still serving the full menu.
I really do believe the oral history of 2008 would be this wild thing, and somebody should do it. I mean, fuck, probably. I always say this, then I end up fucking doing it because nobody else will do it. I'll do it at some point, because the thing that's also wild is that, like, you know, the Jelena people never really talk to anybody, but separately, like, Fran's been doing interviews, and he told me that he was in this vacuum and he didn't realize what else was going on, but now that he's proud that he was a part of it. Travis separately will now actually talk to people. This is actually kind of the moment to get some of those stories out.
I mean, I remember I could walk to Jelena from the first room. I was renting a room when I first moved to LA. Right. That's how broke I was. And I could walk to Jelena, and I just, you know, I would go in there and just order a couple of things because I didn't have, you know, really the means to eat a whole lot, but like it was delicious, and I was like, wow, this is what California cuisine is. Like, I'm experiencing it right here, and I can walk there. But then to see, because everything that happened was consistently different, right? Roy took tacos out to the street. John and Vinny opened up their stuff. We had Bazaar. Everything that was happening was so different. And not to mention, like, even restaurants like Jitlada, people were talking about that more. And it was this sort of culture was developing in LA where, like, we're a food town.
It was the currency, right? It was the moment, and it's like, I'm not going to name these 2 celebrities because I don't really name drop people unless it's like Michael Voltaggio and people know who it is. But I was at one of the last LCD Sound System shows in New York at Madison Square Garden. Ran into a couple celebrities who were already famous, who became even more famous, and I had been at a couple openings with them, so I just went and talked to them. And they said to me this thing that I always remember: oh, you're moving to LA soon. You have to go to Jitlada. Tell Jazz you're my friend. You have to order this. There's 90 things on the menu, but you have to get this soup. You have to get this curry. You have to get this burger, and tell her you're my friend. We'll look up. This person and we are not friends. I mean, it's like we're friendly, but it's like I don't know how to fucking text him and get back in touch with him. But the point is he knew I was somebody in the food world, and he knew the cool thing to talk about was this restaurant, and he wanted people to like me to go to this restaurant. And that's the thing that I sort of love. Like, it sort of flipped where when food really becomes the center of culture that people wants to talk about, that's when you know the city's changed. And that's what I mean about 2008. I really do believe one reason I live in LA is because all of you guys were doing all that shit at the same time. Because I went to all those restaurants in the first 2 years, and like, they are different, and they're also different from each other, and this is fucking cool, and it's different than New York and other cities right now.
Well, I think it was really less about a whole bunch of restaurants were opening, and I really believe it was a movement because it was a cultural movement. If you look at, again, I'll talk about Roy. I mean, him taking Korean barbecue, putting it into a taco, and taking it out into the streets, and like sort of, again, sharing him that part of him. I mean, Roy was a chef at a hotel. Like, he was working in hotels, and one day he was like, wow, this isn't what I signed up for. You know what I mean? And like, there's a bigger purpose. And when you look at what Roy did, he's still doing the same thing today that he did back in 2008. He's just doing it on a bigger scale. And I think that when we were talking about, a couple months ago and the tragedy, the fires and all that stuff that happened, everyone was expecting everyone to leave LA. Like, LA was done. People are moving out. And it didn't happen. I think everyone was like, wait.
People want to stay because LA...
It's our home. It's our home.
Man. Absolutely.
And you have all these ties, and it's all connected when you're old like us, and you remember these things. It's like, look, I've only lived in LA for 12 years, but I've been coming like since, since at least 2008, obviously, because I remember all this stuff. I think the first time I ever saw anything associated with the Hundreds is just when I went to get one of your sandwiches, right? The wild thing is that Ben and Kate Ben Hundreds is open a restaurant now. They're coming in an hour for a tasting, right? So for me, I'm just like, I like that these stories are out there, whether they're told or untold, because to me it's like this is all connected, and you don't think about it, but A does lead to B, does lead to fucking C, and it's a wild ass thing that Ben has his own restaurant. It's a wild thing that he has his own food festival, but it also completely tracks when you think about what LA was and what it is now.
But even look at what Bobby's up to these days. I mean, he's just taken a big position with Disney, and you look at like their trajectory, and like I still have, this is the first Ink Sack logo, which was a mashup between a lunch bag upside down and the Hundreds logo. And Bobby and Ben did that for me. And again, I met them through John and Vinny, and like all these sort of introductions, we're all still sort of in contact with each other. We're all still friends. We didn't get competitive with each other. We all wanted to see each other succeed.
That's always been a big difference in LA versus other cities too.
I have to say, like, I feel like in the restaurant industry, just in general, I feel like there's more of a camaraderie than there is like a competition.
In LA, that's what we're saying. In LA, like, I lived in New York for years and years. Let me tell you, a lot of those big groups do not get along, and they did not get along for years, and they still do not get along. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just I feel like there was a newness to it, and like we were all we were friends at the time, but we didn't know what was going to happen with the food scene in this city. We all just wanted to try it. You know what I mean? We all just wanted to see what would happen. And I think, again, LA, you look at David Chang's business model, like when he's really the first one, I think, that was like take the tablecloths off, turn the hip hop music up a little bit and the rock and roll, and like serve really nice sort of chef driven food in a more laid back environment. I think that style of dining really resonated with, I'll use the word Angelinos, I guess, us Angelinos, like that.
Well,
that's
you're more
sort
of
of
an Angelino now than from the East Coast, bro. I'm in the same boat.
We
We've been
all
here longer
are.
I've been here longer than I have been for now.
But it gave us all the opportunity to focus on what was important, and it wasn't the awards. Like a lot of the East Coast stuff was driven by these guides that say, you have to do things a certain way. You have to have this much silverware, and the servers have to be dressed this way, and like gentlemen have to be wearing jackets when they're eating dinner, and blah, blah, blah. And I think LA was the first city to just be like, yo, fuck all that.
Yeah.
Let's just do some really cool restaurants and serve good food and make people feel good when we're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think LA really, really did a great job at that at the same time. A lot of people did the same stuff.
Yeah, you were the ones doing it. But, going back to the community thing, the one thing that I noticed, like going back to the New York thing, like there are certain prominent New York openings that I went to, like Italian restaurants or fine dining restaurants. You absolutely knew that there are certain people that were similarly prominent that would never walk into that fucking restaurant. What I noticed for years and years when I moved to LA, a lot of these restaurants, aren't here anymore, but some of them still are. You could open any kind of modern Asian restaurant and invite Roy, and even though Roy's a little bit shy, he would just show up out of respect.
Yeah.
Like Roy showed up at so many fucking openings. I would literally go to these things and realize like, wow, you all actually show up for each other's restaurants, and and I think like without getting too cheesy about it, to me is this very nice and notable thing that, like you said, you still very much care about the success of Ben and Bobby. You're still in touch with John and Vinny. You just talked to Roy, because to me it means that like you created something together, but you're not done creating it, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ben and I talk now more about his restaurant than the other stuff. I used to call Ben all the time and like, how do I make clothes? And now it's like it's reversed, and he's like, and I tried that too.
Right. He's like, how do I make an emulsion? He's like, you're never gonna fucking do it, but go make a burger.
But he opened up an incredible restaurant right on Melrose, and like the fact that like again, like LA needs to just trust the process, get back out there, start eating in these restaurants again, and let's keep this energy going because it's important. Like if we have to keep this going.
Yeah.
If somebody opens a new restaurant, go eat there. And by the way, if you have a favorite restaurant in LA, go eat there, because if you don't, you might not have your favorite restaurant anymore. And I'm not here to like preach, but it's
that's
like,
more true than ever now.
We need our guests right now.
People go, like whoever you are in the city, go support the restaurant. If there's a place you haven't been to in a while, go back. You know what I mean? Like keep going to your places, go to new places, try new things. Like you have to. And I think that, I have to say, like in the same way, with everything that happened with the fires and stuff like that, I definitely feel like you're starting to see more people get out. You're starting to see more people support. And I think that, it's one of those things, especially right now, like we said in the industry, it's like it's really, really hard. So the more people you can get to go out and support the local places, like, and we all just have to treat each other great too, right? All the chefs, all the people that work with us, you just have to keep the business thriving.
Yeah, and you have to remember that these people that, you don't know that are the next generation, like these people like Avish or whatever, it's not that they don't care about you or they care about, they fucking know who you are. It just, also like they're in their bubble, and it's also super intimidating because they have their own crew. The thing that I do, obviously this, Tom, like I throw these parties. I've done 3 at Pisa Palace. And the thing that's amazing to me is that, like, this kid had the fucking Eater Restaurant of the Year, right? James Beard semifinalist, We threw these parties. Tim Hollingsworth shows up, and he's just like, fuck, can you introduce me? I really want to meet him. Daniel Patterson shows up. He goes and tells and I've told the story many times, and I probably tell it wrong every time, so I apologize that I keep making up parts of the story, but no, the story is mainly true. He sees Daniel Patterson. Avish walks up to Daniel Patterson and says something along the lines, it's like, hey, chef, I really want to talk to you. I used to stage in San Francisco. I have a lot of questions for you. And Daniel, being Daniel, says something along the lines, it's like, I'm glad to know you. It's hard to get a reservation at your restaurant. Maybe you can help. You seem a little busier than I am right now. I have all the fucking time to talk to you about whatever you want, right? Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, if I can exist to connect those dots, because we were talking earlier before we recorded about like how this is the season where everybody's asking all of us to try to fucking do events for free, do things for exposure and all that. But if I can throw these parties just for us and get enough, whatever, beer, liquor, Pellegrino sponsorship, just to let these guys throw a party, pay themselves that night, not lose any money, and just fuck around for their friends, that's sort of the goal. Because the thing that happens at these things, Michael, that I think is very important, that ties into what you're saying, is people end up meeting their contractors, lawyers, PR people, collaborators. They hire their fucking sous chefs and bar managers through shit like this. So that's a part that I'm trying to play. But the thing is like, you're right. This shit does not matter if we do not convince the consumers that they need just to keep going out and spending money. And shit is more expensive now, and shit will get more expensive than it is now. But it's sort of like, this is why we live in cities like Los Angeles, and without that, you don't have a lot of the streetwear. You don't have a lot of the art. You don't have a lot of the cool parties, right? Because all this stuff is tied together, which is what we've been talking about this whole time.
But also, if you think about it, we're a very creative city. Los Angeles is a city full of creatives. And the restaurant industry is not the only industry that's suffering right now. Yeah. Fashion is suffering. Obviously, Hollywood is suffering. And when that happens, we, restaurants also employ those people and help sustain their lifestyles until all of that stuff bounces back. There's an audio guy here and a camera guy here right now. Everyone has other ways that they have to go make money when everything is down. And I think ultimately restaurants, by going out to eat in restaurants, you are supporting all the creatives in Los Angeles. Because when they're not doing what they're passionate about doing, they're also coming to work with us. And I feel a sense of responsibility. I'm proud of the fact that we can, everyone joked around like all the servers in LA are like actors and actresses and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Sure, they are, but they're also painters, they're musicians, they're grips, they're audio engineers, but that's all freelance work too most of the time. And so when that business is down, they still have to supplement and sustain their lives. And I think that it's a bigger responsibility than just keeping restaurants going. It's keeping all the creatives going in this city that are out there doing the work that entertains us too, in whatever capacity that is.
That's perspective, man. I love it. So just to switch gears here, so I got the Reposado now. All right, so can you just, what's the difference between the two? And then, we're going to taste the same way, but what should we be looking for when we're trying?
So process up until the aging is very similar. It's just the Reposado goes into whiskey barrels. And so we're using American whiskey barrels. Basically, ours is aging anywhere right around a little over 3 months. 6 months is a little bit too long for us. We wanted the Reposado to drink a little drier because I like dry spirits. And when we were sitting there going through the process, I was like, how do we make a tequila that drinks more like a scotch? And so it was just like, we lightened up the aging process a little bit, but we still get that nuance in there. So if you look at the color of it, it's not quite as dark as a lot of Reposados.
Right.
That's by design, because I like to drink scotch too. So that's where we are with that. But honestly, it scored well as well. So, thank you, wine enthusiasts, for the 93.
Yeah. So, you're speaking about the 93. And earlier you were saying...
That's delicious, bro. That's really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, earlier you were saying you still read all the reviews. You read Yelp, you read Google. But let's talk about the restaurant that you just opened and the great traditional media review that you got. And sort of like... Does stuff like that still hit differently to you? Does it matter a lot when something like that happens?
I mean, 100%. I spoke to Tom Sietsma from the Washington Post.
Which restaurant is this?
Wyoke, which we just opened up in Frederick, Maryland, which is where I went to high school. My mom lives there. My brother lives there. That's where I'm from. Tom calls, and we had a really good conversation, and I was nervous. And it was really cool to feel that nervous energy
that
again.
Never leaves you,
Because I talk to a lot of people, and I'm obviously able to communicate effectively 10 plus years after, doing my first television show. But to be able to just be a chef or be a person that's a part of a project that was so important to us, and be able to have a conversation pretty much only about that project and hear somebody who's as tenured as Tom Sietsma is, talk as if he just had a really good time in the restaurant. And it reminded me of the time when Inc. won Best New Restaurant for GQ. And I remember Jim Nelson calling me. And I remember getting that call and being like, he was just like, it wasn't perfect. It was like everything wasn't flawless, but I just had a really good time. And I'm like, okay, this is the trend that I want to happen for us. Like, sure, are we going to do everything exactly the most perfect way every single time? Probably not, but we'll take a little bit more business because we want to feed more people. And does it get a little out of control sometimes? Sure. But if people leave and say they had a good time, that's, to me, I'd rather hear that than any star or diamond or whatever comes with, the accolades of owning restaurants. Tom was very we almost just sort of had a conversation about the experience that he had in the restaurant. And then when the review came out and it was so positive,
were you were expecting it to be positive, but I guess maybe
But I wasn't because
so
I
the
go
nervousness
into every,
was real,
It always is.
Yeah.
I care more so now than ever because I now feel more responsible. Like you said, I've trained a lot of people. There's a lot of people opening restaurants. I think that you can't just stop caring. Yeah. What does that look? What does that look like?
You're gonna get critiqued a lot harder, bro. I mean, winning Top Chef, you're in the limelight constantly. You're constantly doing things. You're definitely held to a higher bar than most.
But when you have somebody like Tom Sietsma who's so OG, because there are very few OG people like that, right? They also remember all the history, so they're not just going to shit on you. But yes, there is a higher standard because you're Michael Voltaggio and your brother is who he is too.
And that's why, because I've taken a lot of those hits.
Yeah.
Irene gave me the 4 stars at Bazaar, but then ripped me apart when I opened Inc. The same year that I won Best New Chef from Food and Wine and won Best Restaurant from GQ, Irene ripped me to shreds. Right. And, I remember writing her a letter after that and thanking her because I was like, listen, thank you for that review because you outlined all the things that I could really work on. But there was things written in that review that were also personal. Like she wrote in the review, Voltaggio stands up like a carnival barker as the women line up in drones to take a picture with the chef or whatever. It had nothing to do with the restaurant.
Right. Well, at least he got more famous than Marcel at that point.
But then I could have gotten mad about those words, or I could have read between the lines, which is what I do when I look for consistencies from customers.
Yeah.
And I was like, but is she making points in this review that I can learn from and make the restaurant better? And I actually wrote her an email and said, thank you for this. And she was right. There was a lot of things that she was absolutely right about. And I fixed them.
Yeah.
Like,
right. No, it actually turns into constructive, it actually becomes constructive, right? So, I'm going to go off script a little bit because you were mentioning Jim Nelson and GQ, and you were mentioning obviously like other things that you've gotten. And to me, like, I'm still a nerd about this stuff. I mean, not many people, it's like, you still read all the reviews. I still like read other things people write in print magazines and think that like, wow, I like everybody else's writing more than I like my writing, where they really articulated something. But the things that I remember is when the stories end up being in LA, right? And how LA ties to everything else. So we don't really have to talk so much about what's going on. I mean, obviously, like, there's been fucking whipsaw just with the stock markets this week. So we can place that moment in time without getting into anything, right? 8 years ago, Brett Martin from GQ traveled all across America. You can think about what the climate of the country was then. And he began and he ended his best new restaurants with LA. He wrote about Salazar and he wrote about Cato. And I actually want to read the last paragraph because to me, it's a thing that I think about again and again because it ties back to everything you're saying about like, yeah, we just got to fucking go out. We just got to go support and we need LA to be what it is. First restaurant he writes about is Salazar. The last restaurant that he mentions in his piece is about Cato. So he writes about how great Cato is, and we don't need to get into that because everybody knows how great Cato is. It's become the number one restaurant in LA now. And he writes, this is about Cato, but it's about everything, really. At once creative and disciplined, thrillingly new and comfortably familiar. In other words, like all the years list, the best of what we hope for in an American restaurant. I don't know if the spark I rediscovered at Salazar can be kept alive. I've lost and found it several times since. Frankly, I don't know if we're all going to be okay. I only know that one thing we can do is keep repeating that these are the things that matter, aloud as often as possible, and then go out and eat together. So the fact is, I didn't want to do season 3 of the fucking podcast, but you keep having this conversation, so I'm going to keep doing this. And so what are other restaurants that people should be going to right now, Michael? Sorry I bumped this. This is how amped I am.
I mean...
Like, yeah, what do you like right now?
One, I think that it shouldn't just be all the new ones. I think that's where LA, can really step up. It's going back to the ones that are iconic. I mean, that have been around for a long time. I mean, there's the list is... What neighborhood? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I would tell you, like, what... I'll use a New York. What borough of LA can we sort of identify as where you should go?
Yeah, but let's talk about LA classics, right? Because the LA Times does this thing that's kind of a cop out where they put you on this other list and then they retire you, and then it's like great, but that restaurant still ends up being a going concern for many years after that. What are some of the old ones that influence you that you still?
I mean, there's a restaurant that I eat in Studio City near my house called Daichan.
Oh yeah.
And to me, that restaurant, I can't believe I just said it on a podcast. Don't make it even harder to get into than it already is.
Yeah, literally all these, like whatever, the producing partners for the biggest movies go to this place too. It doesn't need more people.
But this is a husband and wife, couple that basically it just feels like a Japanese family has invited you over for dinner and they're cooking for you at their house, and then just when you walk out of there you feel like the restaurant just gave you a hug. And I think that is a great example of what it should feel like. There's a lot of new restaurants obviously opening up, but I think that if you look at like Ludo's career, for instance, I just ate at the Sherman Oaks location of Petit Trois, had a phenomenal meal there. And to finally see him with a project that I feel like should be in a lot of different towns now. I mean, that restaurant to me could be like...
Yeah, every city wants that bistro brasserie type vibe.
But the way he does it, where he just... And I remember, like, I knew about Ludo before I ever moved to LA because I was such a chef nerd. Like, I knew about L'Orangerie. I knew about, like, wow, there's this, like, crazy cool French guy that like surfs, that lives in LA and has tattoos, and like maybe one day I'll get to meet him. And now like I have his phone number in my pocket. You know what I mean? Like he's a friend of mine, and just to be able to,
that's cool.
You know, I think the Benjamin's doing really good food right now. I think really you'd have to tell me a specific cuisine, because I just feel like Holbox down in downtown, which is getting all the press they deserve right now. And that to me speaks to like what LA did back in 2008, you know, the trend of or this or that, or like rolling the sleeves up a little bit. I mean, they're in the middle of that sort of food hall, and it's sort of elevated now everything else that's happening in that food hall situation as well.
Dom drove all the way to the Mercado La Paloma and ate that food. He couldn't tell me which tostada he liked the best, but he loved it.
We like ran through that menu. That menu was so good.
But
it was so good.
Yeah, but I love that you mentioned Daichan. I live nearby too. You know, I go in there, and you're right. There are prominent people there all the time, but what I like about what you're saying about that and Petit Trois is that it is proof that, like, you know, some things endure, but neighborhoods change, right? Like, I love that little strip mall because it's like Avi Q is this new thing, Wagyu
shawarma, and it's delicious. I actually was eating at Daichan. This is crazy. I was there a couple weeks ago eating, and I parked right in front of Avi Q. Yeah. And one of the cooks or chefs from Avi Q came outside after I was finished eating at Daichan with a bag and gave me 2 of the shawarmas and was like, "Hey, I saw that was you. I just wanted you to try what we're cooking here."
Those guys hustle so much. Yeah, I took my parents to Kazunori next door. That's Kazunori, the original Nozawa. I mean, think about the amount of history there, right? I took my parents there. Avi walked out and was like, "Why are you eating there and not here?" And then I had to go back the next day. I mean, like, that guy doesn't fucking miss anything.
But it's delicious.
Yes.
Delicious.
Like, and it's in a little strip
right,
mall.
And it's the new juxtaposed, you know, like with the most established thing, you know. I go to that Petit Trois all the time too, because my daughter used to have an art class right there, and across the street is Joint Seafood. Liwei's been here cutting fish. You know, Liwei's thrown more parties with me. He launched industry only with me, and I just like that there's something as OG as Ludo, and something now, you know, where look, dry aging fish has been happening in fucking Japan for like, you know, hundreds of years at this point. But he's sort of like popularized something, and the fact that all of this is just happening in the valley like means that, like, you know, we don't just have a sleepy neighborhood anymore. We have cool stuff too.
I mean, Asanebo, doesn't the chef there now have like 5 million followers on TikTok or something like that? Like, I remember Asanebo, you could just walk in there. You know, it was great. It was like a best kept secret. Oh, they have a Michelin star, and like they had like a $90 omakase, and now it's like this guy's got like. And now you can't even get in. You can't even sit at the sushi bar.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, LA just has these pockets.
Yeah, John and Vinny is in Studio City now, finally too, and that's become a whole thing now. Where I didn't realize until, you know, when I first spoke to John and Vinny, they're talking about they wanted to open this restaurant. You know, they wanted this to be the type of place that their kids, you know, like grew up in. They grew up eating this, and I didn't realize like how it was so dead on until I took my 11-year-old daughter there. She ran into a bunch of friends. It was like, yeah, this really is like the best restaurant possible for kids, but you can just go there as a grown-up and have a great meal too.
Anyone can go there and have a good time. And I think that's what, you know, even you look at Evan's restaurants. I mean, you know, that's a whole nother success story in itself. It's like Nancy Silverton sort of kind of paved that way, and then Evan came in, and like they're different enough from each other where LA can support both. And it's just like there's these groups of restaurants that are sort of expanding throughout that. The valley to me is popping off right now.
Yeah.
Though. Like from Studio City all the way out to Woodland Hills, I think you're going to start to see a lot of restaurants opening up in between there because there's a lot of people moving out that way. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you see people moving into these neighborhoods, and we're all getting better at eating in the neighborhoods that we live in. I mean, look at Atwater Village is another good example. I mean, there's great restaurants. McCall's, the butcher shop is over there.
Man, he's coming to do this podcast.
Yeah.
Holy Basil's been buying your pasta?
Yeah.
Fuck, I love that I made that shit happen.
But I mean, if you
still
talk
haven't
about
gone to Atwater Village, man.
You get into Korean barbecue, you get into Chinese, you get into all the different. I mean, if you don't know who Bill Esparza is and you haven't read,
he was at Industry Only yesterday.
If you look at he showed me his food map of LA, and just in one night, the amount of different parts of the different sort of areas in Mexico and the influence that it has on the cuisine up here, and stylistically how different the restaurants really are if you know what you're going out to look for in this city as it relates to like the different parts of you know, from Oaxaca to Tijuana. There's, I mean, everywhere, like all over the place to what they're doing at Holbox. I mean, Holbox as a place in Mexico, my wife has gone on vacation down there. It's like this tiny little island that has bioluminescent bays that you go swimming in at night and you go like this. But everyone knows here Holbox is a restaurant in LA, and it's like,
yeah, arguably the best restaurant in LA, which is crazy when you think about how long he's been doing this, where it is, and all that. But you're talking about Mexico. But
think about all the different states of Mexico that you can eat in without leaving LA.
Yeah, or all the regional Chinese food, or how you don't realize that when you go to your favorite Korean restaurants, there's 5 different restaurants that are specialized in 5 different things. They have the rest of the food too, but they're specifically. But I think you're hitting it. This is why we don't leave. This is a big reason a lot of us don't leave LA. You can't go anywhere else in America and experience this.
My wife was born in Lithuania and grew up in Brooklyn, and her favorite food is banchan. She couldn't say that word till she moved to LA.
I love it. We still got to get you to Koreatown. So
I have a couple more questions.
I have to
we
have a couple
and
more.
I know you have to go.
Episodes.
I know you have to go.
As long as I get to the airport.
I know you have to get to the airport.
He's got 7 minutes before he literally goes directly to the airport. Let's do this.
Look, I think we've all been in this position. So, like, for me, there's got to be a time where you were, cooking something and you were like, holy shit, this is completely fucked up. I got to pivot it. Like, talk a little bit about some of the experiences you had of being under this crazy pressure. And I'm not talking about like TV for that matter, right? Like I'm talking about like you're in a restaurant, you're trying to, or you're cooking for maybe a guest or something where you're just like, oh my God, I just fucked this up. How am I going to recover? Because we're all going to go through those times. And I feel like there's a lot of chefs listening. Yeah. Like, how do you pivot? What do you do? How do you recover? Like what
what's your best, what's your best story of being in the weeds, basically?
I do what a lot of people, I go to the POS machine where the printer paper is, and I push the button till the empty paper comes out, long strip of paper, and I grab my Sharpie, and I put that on my counter. This is what I've been doing for 2 days in my house, because I'm about to leave to go to Vegas. I'm cooking for a client out there for a birthday party, and all the food is meant to be my versions of junk food that's nostalgic to this person.
So cool.
And one of them is smash burgers, and there's only so many things you can do. You shouldn't change a smash burger. Right. It's like good beef, good cheese, a good burger sauce, and a nice bun. That's it. Like I can't modernize that and make a Michael Voltaggio smash burger that is going to be better than what a smash burger is. So for the past 3 days, I've been at my house trying to make buns out of ketchup.
I saw that.
And so I posted it on my Instagram. It was the last thing. But yeah, it became an Instagram reel or whatever, but the reality is, oh shit, Ben Hundreds just walked in. The reality is
the reality is we've been talking about, you guys are going to laugh so hard because the last 10 minutes of this conversation was just about you and we knew you were coming. Which
I didn't know he was coming though. Can I
give him a hug? I told him.
Can I give him a hug?
Come on, let's go.
Right.
Come on,
yeah, no, we're filming all of this.
What up? I love it. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's awesome, bro.
Nice
awesome.
to see you guys.
Ben Hundreds, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Go eat at the Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Yeah, so to become an Instagram reel, which I don't know, I can't believe I just said that sentence. But like
to physically become
but
an
everyone's
Instagram
like,
reel.
oh, cool, you made it maybe one time and like that's it. I wasn't making it to make a reel. I have a job that I have to do this weekend, but I was so stoked that I finally got it right after making like 10 different batches of dough. And then I turned it into steam buns because I wanted to preserve the color of the ketchup inside the bun. So my process is that. It's like I won't stop until I get it the way that I need it to. But it's also like it puts me in a bad position because my brother and I, for instance, like I said, we just opened a restaurant and we're about to do like the menu changes at our steakhouse too, which is in National Harbor with MGM. Like I'll fixate on one thing, like how do I cut this piece of Parmesan cheese to look like this every single time, but I want it to be natural and it fell off the wheel that I'll fixate on that one thing for 7 hours straight or 3 days straight while everything else around me is just like insignificant and irrelevant. And then I have to go back and figure out how to do all that and do the same thing. So the bun the past couple of days has been like to make a bun that is soft and fluffy and tastes like ketchup for a slider, because the only thing I could think of was to manipulate the bread, because the burger, the cheese, and the sauce,
you need the burger.
You can't really fuck with that.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. That's awesome.
What's your last question, Dom?
Okay, so last thing is, who would you like die to cook for? Or like, who would somebody that, I would say like if you're a musician and Paul McCartney walked in and you're cooking for him, like who would be that person for you to cook for? Either that you've already cooked for, because I mean you've obviously you've been doing this for a while, or like who would you like died to cook for? Or who have you cooked for already that made you so nervous that you were just like, and what did you make for them?
I'll say this. I've cooked for a lot of people, so again, I'm not going to do like you don't want to drop names. I'm not going to do. We live in LA.
We've
all
that's
cooked
fair.
for a lot
that's
of people.
totally fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who would I want to cook for?
Yeah.
I'll tell you somebody that's inspiring me creatively right now is Jean-Baptiste. His music career, the way he is with his family. I don't know if you just saw his documentary that came out last year, but his whole professional and creative path, and now the album that he just dropped where he's like covering classic piano that you know songs that you shouldn't touch, he's recomposing those and making those his own and stuff like that. And I just think that my career, I have a very classic foundation. I learned how to cook at the Greenbrier Hotel. It's one of the oldest hotels in America. I cook modern food, and I think Jean-Baptiste's music is very similar to that. He has a very classic foundation, but he's so like, and I'm not comparing myself to him because he's a genius. I'm just a cook. Like, I think I would love to have just a conversation with him one day and just I don't know, his energy. I play his music for my daughter when she's not able to fall asleep. Like, I listen to it in the car when I need to calm down, but I also listen to it because I want to be inspired. And I think that's what creatives do. Like, you look at other creative mediums to get inspired. And I think, I think he would be on my list right now.
So real quick,
Yeah.
we're talking about inspiration. Just because there's a lot of young chefs that are up and coming. There's a lot of people who, or maybe not young chefs, that haven't hit their career path yet. A little bit of advice you can give them.
Stay with it. Like, we need you guys. Don't be so quick to go get in front of the cameras. Like, I've been cooking for 30, how old am I?
48.
I've been cooking for 30 years. I'm 46.
46.
Why dare you?
I'm
My
so
brother's
sorry, bro.
48. You
You're
just
like-
aged me by 2
Oh,
years.
I got it backwards.
Like, I didn't do any of that stuff until I was 20 years into my professional cooking career. You know what I mean? So let that stuff happen naturally, because eventually everyone that's doing that stuff is going to be held accountable for what they're doing when they're not doing that on camera. And I think that a lot of times when the curtain gets pulled back, people want information coming from reliable resources. I think when you look at like the popularity of Reddit right now, it's like, it's anonymous people sharing their opinions, and if somebody puts out some bullshit, then everyone else just attacks them and is like, that's wrong, you've been fact checked, you're like basically like anonymously canceled. And like, I feel like just be a good cook. Like, do it for the reasons that we did it, because we didn't have all this shit when we started cooking. I didn't know that I was going to be asked to be on a podcast or be flying to Las Vegas in 30 minutes or do 20
it's
plus
40 minutes of JSX right now.
episodes of television a year, which I mean, last year I think I did almost 30 episodes of television. Like, no way did I know that that was going to be a part of my career. So do it for the reasons that we did it for, and then let that stuff just come because it does.
Yeah, it's come for you. It's come for a lot of your people. I mean, it's still coming. So yeah, the opportunity is still there.
And don't give up. We all need to keep feeding people. Like, and we need you to want to be fed. So come into the restaurants, whatever town you're in, if you're listening to this, wherever you are, like, do it. You know what I mean? Go out. You might meet somebody that I don't know, spark up a conversation at a bar. Like, when does that happen anymore? Like, stop looking at your phone. Like, go out of the house. Go out, guys. Go out. Go out. Go out. Go out.
Well, I just want to say, bro,
go out and eat some of this.
You're awesome. I can't thank you enough for being on our show. It was amazing. It was great to get to know you even more. What you're doing for our industry is amazing. Nothing but the best of success to you. We're so pumped to have this tequila here, and we're so pumped to do a dinner with you at some point soon. I would really love that.
Honestly,
thank you again.
anytime I would love to come cook here, and like, it's not like I just want to come hang out and cook. So we can make that happen. And this isn't business. This is me wanting to just come hang out and be a part of it.
Let's do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you guys.
We'll do part two. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.